One of the things on our to-do list on this 1975 280 SL is to sort out the speaker covers, which on this car were missing. I have a selection of speaker covers that I've collected in the past and also that we've taken off parts cars. But one thing that is worth pointing out is the speaker cover on the passenger side is different to the speaker cover on the driver's side. The driver's side has this extra lip on it here, which basically sits under the instrument cluster. So if you are replacing a speaker cover, make sure you get the right style. These speaker covers are often damaged or have bits missing, partly because people don't know how to get them off the car. So let me just show you. There should be 2 screws at the bottom holding the speaker cover on, and 2 clips like this, and those clips clip onto a metal bar that should be screwed onto or across the speaker cover of your car. So once you've undone these 2 screws, you're going to need to slide the speaker cover down to release it from that bar, and that should then come off. What you may find, especially on older cars, is either that these screws here are completely rusted, and when you try to get them out, you'll find they just round, or that these clips are so tight on this bar, either because they're rusted solid or just because the clips are tight on the bar, that it's almost impossible to get the speaker cover off without bending it forward and damaging it. So what we're going to be doing is using this mishmash of speakers here to make up 2 pristine speakers. Now this is one I've already sprayed up with the Sunox plastic adhesion and black plastic paint to match the color of the car. We are missing one of these clips, which you can actually now get from the SL shop. The last time we did a restoration video on one of these speaker covers, you couldn't actually get those clips, but they are available at the SL shop. I'll leave a link in the description below. But let's just have a go at taking a speaker off our parts car here and seeing if those clips are actually in place, because we're going to need one of them. So here we have the speaker cover in our parts car, and if you just pull it forward slightly, you can see that it's spring loaded, and those are those 2 springs. I can see here that one of these screws is missing, and that this screw here does not look like the right type of screw. Let's see if we can get that out. That screw is completely rusted, so we're going to get a set of more grips on there and see if we can snap the head off, allow us to get that speaker cover off. And now here we go, we've got some movement. Okay, that's brilliant. Got that out without having to break it. So this speaker cover, you now pull the bottom out towards you, and then it should just slide down. Whoa, look at those speakers. These look pretty good. And you can see here the position of the bracket and also the type of screws. Here is that top bar, and what I'd suggest, even if you don't have any problems or issues with your speakers at all, what I would suggest is you take these screws out, we put these bottom screws holding the speaker cover on, replace them with stainless steel, and similarly just have a look at this bar on your car. Is it corroded? If so, put it in a rust bath, strip the rust off and paint it before it gets any worse. And similarly with these screws here, just replace them with stainless steel, make someone's life in the future easier. Now that we've stripped the rust off here, we place these with stainless steel. Now incidentally, that screw size there is the same as the screw size and same style of screw that holds on this piece of trim here. We've also replaced all of these with stainless steel, and I'll leave the screw size on the screen below. What you will find is when you've mounted your clips, that when you come to put the speaker cover back on, you won't be able to get the clips under there. And a little trick in order to help you is to use an old credit card or something like that. What you do is you feed it through the top gap like that, and then you bend it around and wedge it behind the clips like so. And then when you push this up like so, you'll find that hopefully, and pull that out, that is now held on there tightly. And then you just need to put the 2 screws in here. Now obviously, if you've just taken this off your car, you'd expect everything to line up, but on this particular car, nothing is ever lined up. So we're going to have to re-drill those holes, because sadly, these holes do not line up. These little speaker clips here, we'll leave them in a rust bath overnight, and then we'll come back and spray them up with some rust encapsulator and then give them a couple of coats of the Eastwood Extreme Chassis Black. That should protect them for another few years. We finished gluing this vinyl on. We'll take the clamps off, spray it with some plastic adhesion promoter, and then make it black. We'll leave that to dry, and that should be just about as good as new. These clips have been in a rust bath overnight. We've just stripped the rust off and now painted them with the Eastwood rust encapsulator, and then tomorrow we'll go over those with some Extreme Chassis Black. We've just dusted those little clips over with some Extreme Chassis Black, and we'll leave that overnight to dry. Just arrived in the post are the speakers, which I hope will be the right ones to finish this part of the car off. These are the speakers we used in the other red 280SL we did, Pioneer's TSG 400, and they fit exactly in the Mercedes SL speaker compartment without any modification. I have already done a video on this channel about fitting these speakers, but just one thing to remember when you fit them: you would think that you would fit the speaker that way round, but if you do that, what you'll find is that these speaker wires interfere with the bottom. You actually need to spin the speaker around so the Pioneer is on the outside and that the speaker wires are on the outside towards the window of the car. So when you put this speaker in, you just need to remember that the plugs need to face the door. What you should find is this top bracket here aligns exactly with the screws and also the holes in the speaker. What you'll also notice on this car is that somebody, for reasons best known to the previous owner, has decided to wrap this dash in vinyl, which is a terrible idea, because what happens is over time you get all these creases in the vinyl. What you should do if you want to change the colour of your dash is just spray it with the correct plastic spray paint, just like we've done with this, and you'll get a lovely finish. What you'll find when you put the lower screws in is that they will actually, as you tighten them, bend back this little piece of lower metal here. All we have to do is our card trick just to reattach that. Hopefully, if I've done that right, we should just be able to pull that card out. Last thing worth mentioning is the speaker wires that come with these speakers are quite short, but you can access them and splice in longer wires that will reach your stereo just by taking out this lower panel. Now, we're going to do a whole separate video on these lower trim panels because there's a lot that can go wrong and there's usually a lot that's broken and missing on them. But I'm going to finish this video here. I haven't quite decided what we're going to do with the stereo, whether we're going to go for a period Becker stereo or whether we're going to go for a modern stereo with Apple CarPlay and all that kind of stuff. Ideally, what I'd like to try and do is get an old Becker stereo that isn't working and interface it with a modern stereo so it looks period but it has the functionality of a modern stereo. But for the time being, we are going to leave this video here.